Hello everyone, No Life here, and today I'll be making a video I honestly did not think I would be ever making, and that is me going over Killer Clowns from Outer Space, the game. So, I seen some people streaming this game, and it actually got me interested enough to actually go ahead and shell out the $40 to go ahead and get early access to this game. So, today I'll be going over my thoughts and experiences with Killer Clowns over the last week here of the early access. So, first and foremost, as of me recording this video, the day one patch that was supposed to update a bunch of stuff for the game's actual launch has not gone live. So, everything here is going to be my experience with the early access, not the actual first week of the game. So, I just want to point that out for any of you who might come, who knows how long later, pointing out, like, hey, this wasn't how it was like when it first launched. Well, again, this is early access. This is how it was like during the early access, not the actual launch. So let's go ahead and get into it. So one cool aspect I seen immediately after looking around at customization, as I couldn't use the default survivor, I had to go and tweak him a little bit, was that there's just a rich amount of customization that you can find in the game, a lot of which is gated behind leveling up and others from challenges. But once you get those challenges done and whatnot, you can definitely say that no one survivor will ever look the same, as there's just way too much customization options for you to be the same. Clowns is a bit more limited, but you can still get some unique customizations going with the clown to set you apart from all the other clowns out there. After I looked at some of the settings of the game, which are a little lackluster, I'm sure there's some settings that are only present in the PC version, such as graphics type stuff, but I can say that a lot of people like to mess around with the foliage settings, which I believe is actually in the console port of the game. I'm playing on PS5 for those of you who do not know. So, besides people fiddling around with the settings of the graphics to see if the lower quality for grass will help them find hiding survivors or whatnot, I went ahead and looked into the tutorial, which was about as disappointing as I expected to be. It's kind of the same thing you'd see from Friday the 13th, the game, and of course, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, where it just has a bunch of pictures for you to read and get the gist of the gameplay, and then you got to go in blind and kind of figure things out control wise and whatnot. Now, thankfully, the controls of this game are pretty modern. They feel, or rather, control just about the same way you expect from any game. So if you've got plenty of experience with games, you'd be able to easily figure out how things work. For example, pressing L3, again, this is me playing on PlayStation, that allows you to sprint. The right trigger is the melee, left trigger is to aim, whether that's with a gun or to throw something. It's all pretty much the same, even square to reload, as there are guns in the game, which I will get into later. So it didn't take me long at all to figure out how the controls work, and I actually got to give them some kudos for them separating the buttons to slowly go through a window and just loudly crash through it. As not only do you have to hold down the interaction to do them, but they are again separate keys. So for the most part, you shouldn't have any uh-ohs where you accidentally jump through a window when you meant to just pick up an item or anything crazy like that. Now, picking up an item and closing a door, I'm pretty sure those are the same button. But again, you press a button to pick it up and hold it to let's say go through a window. So closing the door when you meant to pick up an item usually isn't going to be too much of a detriment. I believe even hiding in a space is the same as jumping through a window. So for the most part, I haven't had any issues where I try to hide and end up jumping through a window, as they typically space those out pretty far, so you don't have to worry about any of those DBD type moments happening in this game. But getting straight into victim, or I'm sorry, survivor. First and foremost, I want to say sometimes you feel more like a victim than a survivor in this game. As one thing I learned very early on is that the spawns in this game can be very unforgiving, to the point where as soon as you spawn in the game, you hear the very intimidating terror radius, I call it, for when a clown is near you. So you want to keep quiet and avoid sprinting at all times, as this game works similar to Friday, where sprinting gives little noise indicators to the clowns, which can potentially give your spot away. And if you have a clown or two chasing you when you are unarmed, yeah, things will not end well for you. But thankfully, there are five architects, they call it, for both sides. And the first one to start off for Survivor is the athletic type, who boasts the highest sprint speed and stamina out of all of the different survivors. So you have a pretty good base to start off with. The second class you'd get then is the punk, which adds a little bit extra damage to your class, but it reduces some of your stamina and movement speed. So when you start to get a bit more of the hang of the game and are a bit more confident to actually engage in the clowns, that's definitely a good class for you to try out. However, my favorite is going to be the resourceful type, which is a good balance between both speed and movement and, of course, strength. The other two classes would be the heroic and the brawler, which basically they function the same, as they all have a bit more health and do a lot more damage at the cost of movement, speed, and stamina. The heroic type does have a bit more stamina, but they're still just about as slow as the brawler. So, although I've been playing around the brawler a lot more, and I'm starting to kind of like him a bit more from the resourceful type. One thing to keep in mind is, although you can just about always outrun the clowns, there's some situations where you kind of are a bit forced to fight back, especially when you have clowns using the most OP gun in the game at the time of the recording of this, which is the popcorn bazooka, which makes it so they clowns can literally just like shoot at you. Kind of turns the game almost into Call of Duty. But if you're lucky enough for them to not try to down you and instantly kill you and take you out the game, there is a mechanic where they can put you into a cotton candy cocoon. It works sort of like DBD, where they within the hook you and you have to wait for someone to save you. However, if you're lucky enough to find a sharp object, you're able to get yourself out of it instantly. But this is risky, as if you do it in front of the clowns, there's a chance they might down or even kill you right away. So the best strategy for that, from my experience, is to wait for them to hook you, then jump away somewhere, as they have a teleportation ability to help them traverse the map easier. And once you are alone, that's when you can go ahead and pop yourself out. Or you can wait to see if someone will save you, and of course, if they don't appear to become a target, you just bust yourself out. So hopefully you guys get the gist of what I'm saying. There's just a lot of strategy and variety in gameplay, such as the escapes. There's five different ways to get out, and they all require different items that allows you to escape. It's not just you finding that place and interacting with it for a set amount of time to get out. You have to actually do the work of, again, collecting items that will, again, help you get out through those escape routes. Just about all the escapes allow about three other survivors to get out. So thankfully there's these handy items called flares that you could use to mark your location on the map, which then will allow you to go ahead and call over other survivors to hopefully get out with you. But a lot of these escapes are very limited in time, meaning that if they do not go ahead and escape with you in that allotted time, that escape route could be potentially closed off forever, and they have to find another way out. Now, thankfully, there's a bit of a hats type mechanic, like in DBD, where at the last 30 seconds of the game, an ice cream truck will burst out through the edge of the map, and this allow you to go ahead and get to that truck and get out before you meet your fate. Now, there's also a bunch of different types of items you have in the game. There's melee weapons, and then there's ranged weapons. The shotgun does the most damage out of all the ranged weapons, with a revolver, of course. It is a bit more common to find the shotgun, and it's a smaller item. So another thing you'll find is that there are two different types of items: small items and big items. Big items such as shotguns or bats, handheld weapons, those can only be put in a big spot. You can put small items in the big spot, but if you were to pick up a big item, it'll automatically replace whatever item you had in that spot with a large item. So there's a bit of an inventory management that you have to do, such as having to figure out what items you're going to drop when you start grabbing lots of key items. As again, you only have a limited amount of space, so you have to make some decisions there. Now, when engaging the clouds, after they take a certain amount of damage, they'll go ahead and plop right on their butts, and then their nose will start flashing. In order to actually kill the clown, you need to hit them in their nose with a sharp object. This includes firearms or sharp objects such as a knife, axe, or the fire poker. Now, I find that the active fire poker do about the same damage with them being able to drop a clown in around two charged swings. As one benefit of the big melee weapons is you have the ability to charge it up and do a lot of damage, as well as being able to potentially stun them. So, one issue I could definitely say I've had with firearms though is I can't tell if it's like aim assist or just issues with hit detections, but sub shooting them in their nose seems to miss. I have heard from others mention that the devs already spotted about the issues with the hit detection on their Twitter, and they confirmed, at least with the revolver, there's some sort of hit detection with it, which is causing you to miss. I'm not sure what the excuse is for the shotgun, as I've had times where I was point blank in a clown's face and somehow missing with the shotgun. There's just a lot of network issues with the game because this is day one gameplay I'm showing here, so perhaps the servers were a little too flooded, so there was a lot of issues with crashing. I haven't had these issues happen, like the network area stuff, since the first day or two, so I'm gonna assume that it was just a lot of people flooding servers causing these issues, as it's supposed to be like dedicated servers, no hosts. But getting into some clown gameplay, from my experience, the clowns appeared to be the stronger side, mainly because one standout weapon, which is the bounce caster, is basically a cotton candy bazooka, which allows them to cocoon a survivor in just 3 shots. This gun is powerful enough for you to easily take out multiple survivors with, and I've heard plenty of people bragging about killing all 7 survivors who foolishly ran up on one clown with this bounce caster, who was shooting down the ground and pressing the left trigger, which automatically detonates those grenades if they don't hit someone. So I know that again, as recording this video, the devs confirmed they'll be nerfing the popcorn bazooka, which is more of a popcorn rifle, honestly, and it allows them to damage a survivor and mark them. So that weapon I feel is a little overtuned. I'm glad even the devs can agree, as again both of those weapons make the clowns feel so miserable to play against, as generally they cut off 2 options: fighting back and running. As if you try to run up on a clown, they'll usually fire off a shot, jog back, shoot again, and rinse repeat until you're on your knees. Or with the bounce caster, you try to run up on them, they'll just put you to cotton candy cocoon immediately. So again, it just makes things very unfun when those 2 weapons are brought into the play. But otherwise, you usually get a fair chance of either side winning when you go toe to toe, especially if you're not using one of the stronger survivor architects or archetypes. Jeez. Um, Now there are loads of abilities that the clowns have that really helps them out against the survivors, such as the lure, which is the basic ability that you don't have to unlock, which allows them to, as the name suggests, lure you over to them. It's basically a stun, and then they can do whatever they want to you there, whether it's down you or cocoon you. So that one's pretty strong. Another handy one is the balloon dog, which allows them to track where survivors is. Now, thankfully, the abilities I'm mentioning now don't show up until later on in the game, once they've either cocooned quite a few survivors or just throw loose cocoons you can find around the map to help speed up the process. But they start off with the ability to teleport pretty early, and then they get another one called Laugh Out Loud, which gives them a speed and damage boost and heals them over time. They're able to be killed in this ability, but a lot of people kind of treat it like it's invincibility. And I'd say that if you're brave enough, you can definitely still attack them during it. It's just the fact that when they first start channeling the ability, they are actually invincible. So you just have to wait till they're done laughing, then you can usually start attacking them again. But again, you want to be sure to have a pretty strong weapon if you're going to go ahead tackle a clown and a laugh out loud ability, as it definitely makes them pretty scary, especially the brawler, which is the clown's last archetype that they can get, which is a little guy. He's pretty squishy, but he's super fast and he does a decent bit of damage. So you definitely want to be careful with him around. Now, there have been some issues I had the game. I don't know if it's just me still being new to how the skill checks work, but a lot of times it feels like the skill checks, I hit them in time, but it still says it's a miss or whatever, which if you miss a skill check, as you of course can imagine, it lets the clown say location, and this can be very annoying when you're trying to, let's say, resurrect all the dead survivors, as that's a mechanic in the game. When survivors die, they can't be resurrected if you go ahead and find the resurrection machine, which is marked as a white heart on the bottom right corner of your compass there on the screen, or rather radar. Um, However, once you escape, you escape. There's no coming back, unlike Friday the 13th, where you could escape the comeback as Tommy Jarvis. You get resurrected once if you die, and you die only, and that's just about it. Now, there's a proximity chat in this game, which works both ways. Survivors can hear other survivors, the survivors can hear clowns, clowns can hear the clowns, and clowns can hear survivors. So you have to be kind of careful on what you say around a clown. Thankfully, generally, when they're close enough to hear you, you hear the little clown music, so you're good in that regard. But there is no way for you to talk to the clowns around the map if you're playing as a clown or survivors, unless you're like in a party chat like Discord or whatever. So that's one thing to keep in mind. Now, if you also do not kill a cloud at a time, or if you're a clown in this case, if you do not get killed in time, you are able to mash to pick yourself back up, and then you regain full health. So if you're going to down a clown, you got to be sure to have a sharp object pop them in the nose before they get back up, and they go ahead and retaliate. They have their jump ability to use to traverse the map, but as you can see here, they are also capable of landing on you and downing you, as well as stunning you, if they land anywhere near you. So that's definitely a scary aspect of them, as there's nothing you can really do to avoid them jumping on you. And if you're low enough health, you will go down, as you've seen I have right there. So overall, the game, although it can be frustrating at times, I definitely personally find it very fun, and I'm very much looking forward to what else like they have to bring to the table of the game, as there's just so many different weapons, abilities, or whatnot that the clowns have, and there's just like a lot of fun and intense moments you can have in this game, such as this moment here where I found myself a soda, which when you drink it, it allows you to gain infinite stamina for what seems to be around 30 seconds. This is great when you're getting chased by a very persistent clown or even multiple clowns, as there is no clown that is faster than all the other survivors except for the brawler, and he has to be in his laugh out loud ability, which again gives him a speed boost. But that laugh out loud ability doesn't last nearly as long as the soda does. So, coupled with the fact that you can jump windows and over ledges and whatnot, you can loop the clowns for a little bit, especially with that soda pop. So, again, there's a bit of back and forth you can do between the two of them. Although I could definitely say that unless you have backup, when you're attacked by multiple clowns, you definitely want to just run. Fighting back against multiple clowns is never an option with the survivor. And likewise, if it's just one clown being surrounded by multiple survivors, you're better off running in most instances, as they will quickly kill you. I find in most circumstances. So you don't want to get too cocky against them. I mean, you can pull stuff off, like I said, with the bounce caster, but the popcorn bazooka is never going to be enough against multiple survivors. There's definitely a lot of crazy moments I've had in the game so far, such as a clown's bull guarding the bridge and breaking it on me just as I was getting ready to escape, or me doing the opposite to survivors. So there's counterplays of stopping some exits, but there are some, like let's say the boat, where once they get that thing started up, there's literally nothing you can do about it. Even if they get on the boat, you can't cocoon them off of it, or knock them off or anything like that. So that's definitely aspects that need to change. I have found this one area on this house here. As you can see, once you jump the window, the clowns cannot get through the window. There's no way up there onto that house. They might want to consider boarding those windows off, because that area is pretty broken and it's like a hostage situation. I even had one guy that somehow managed to get cocooned when he sat up there. I clicked off his screen for 1 second and then seen him getting carried away. So I don't know what they managed to do to get him off the roof. Maybe someone managed to get him in range of the lure and they got him to walk off the building, and then they got him. But again, besides that, for the most part, there's not really any frustrating circumstances I've had with the game, besides me getting jumped by survivors, or again, me as a survivor getting attacked by one of those BS guns I was mentioning earlier. So I'm very much looking forward to the future of this game. I'm curious to see where they go. Do they add new clown archetypes? Do they add new survivor archetypes? What will they be? As besides the fact that there's like the resourceful survivor, which is a good balance between movement speed and melee strength, and again, arguably one of my favorites. A lot of the other archetypes feel like more or less the same. Like even on the clowns, the first two you get, the ranger and scout, I believe they are. I'm sorry, the ranger and tracker. They have very similar stats. I feel like the tracker and the brawler are the best, as I feel like they have the best stamina and are able to kind of be able to pursue survivors a bit better, especially in laugh out loud. But the other three, they're a little blah. The ranger, despite the fact he has similar stats to the tracker, he feels kind of bad. It doesn't feel like he sprints nearly as much as he can or moves as fast as it says. The trapper, which first and foremost is missing his trap ability that they have referenced in the game, so I'm sure they fixed that by the time the release update comes out. But he doesn't feel much faster than the others, and his stamina kind of feels bad. And then the tank is just useless. First and foremost, it feels very tanky. I've even been able to solo him, granted as a brawler, or is it bruiser? Actually, I'm sorry, I keep calling it brawler. And he's very slow. The tank is so slow. Only thing you can really do with him is just guard one area. Maybe you could, if you find other areas on a map, you could kind of teleport over them and post up at that spot for a while. But if you see a survivor, unless you get backup, you can't really do anything about them. And generally, most survivors will just run from you. You occasionally get some that fight you, and then that's where you can maybe do something in a 1v1 situation. But in most situations, I probably would recommend you use the tank until they give him some buffs. They need to make him faster. And I can argue they can even give him more health because although 4 bars compared to everyone else's 2 and 3 seems intimidating, you get a strong enough weapon, you can take him out, especially a gun. Now, one cool thing that they have is occasionally when you open a loot box, you'll be able to find a tape, which you'll be able to go to the extras menu and look at, which will give you some audio recordings that you can kind of listen to, much like the Tommy Jarvis tapes from Friday. So, as you guys see from the title of my video here, this game honestly is just like an interesting little side branch that we've seen Gun do from Friday, where TCM is Gun's kind of I guess you say baby from Friday the 13th, the game, where you can see their direction that they wanted to go after Friday, and then this is Ilphonic's baby, and you kind of see where they went from Friday. I feel like Ilphonic, of course, who are the developers of Friday, whereas Gun was just the publisher. They made a game that was a bit more of a faithful recreation of Friday, where a lot of people compared this game literally to Friday the 13th, but with 3 Jasons, which of course would be the clowns in this situation. And honestly, I agree. It really does feel like it carries a lot more of that essence from Friday than Texas did. But you can't drive a car around to escape, or even a boat for that matter. There is technically a clown car ability, so if you enjoyed running it down people, I personally find Invisible Car very strong for that. The traversal aspect of it could use a bit of a buff, as I feel like personally, you can't drive around that clown car nearly long enough for it to be viable. But if you do manage to run down a survivor with a cloud car, you get them locked in a very long stun, which if you have a second cloud around is just certain death for that victim. Now, one cool thing this game has going for it over, let's say, TCM is the fact that, much like Friday, playing private games actually gives you experience you can use to level up your character. So, as you can see, this is what I did against some bots, and I just got absolutely way more points and even unlockables than I ever would have from playing a normal game. Now, one benefit to actually cocooning a victim as opposed to killing them outright is that you get to spawn these lackeys out the generators that you do hook them up to. When what these lackeys do is, for starters, they are capable of picking up a cocoon to carry them to the generator, which you would then have to go back and hook yourself. They only carry them to, they don't hook them up to the generators. And lastly, you also will have the lackeys scout around areas, and not only can they potentially lock down an escape route for you, They also will alert you to the presence of a survivor, and then they'll try to latch onto their backs and hold them down, which allow you to either cocoon them or kill them. So these lackeys definitely can be a bit of a pain. However, thankfully, if you do have another survivor present with you, you can knock them off of that person's back. So it is very handy to team up with other survivors. And I'd say there's just about no reason for survivors to spread out. If multiple survivors find each other, it's highly recommended you stay together, as again you have a better chance of dealing with the clowns and escape.
Now, one negative aspect I can definitely say about the game, besides the poor tutorial or lack thereof, is there are a lot of aspects that aren't explained good enough in the game, such as there are people who don't realize you should be walking or crouch walking if you can spare the time to cross a bridge to escape, as if you run across it, it will make the bridge break much faster and limit the amount of survivors that can come across it, as at most three survivors should be able to cross that bridge. At minimum, again, sprinting across the bridge, you should be able to get at least one person out. Then there's this fear mechanic. From my experience with it, it appears that if you're around clowns too much, your screen will get this purple hue around the edges, and this will cause you to stumble, which could potentially get you killed, of course, as you're stopping, sprinting, or even attacking. Now, the game doesn't explain anything about this at all, but I believe after some time has passed with you being away from the clowns, it eventually goes down. But again, it'd be nice if they mentioned this, as it's kind of a surprise mechanic that's in the game. Just about every objective can't be coated with cotton candy. This will slow down survivors. I'm pretty sure I've been saying victims this whole time. But once some of these objectives get completed past a certain amount, unfortunately, you cannot apply any extra cotton candy to it. This is especially the case with the boat when it started and the bridge once the barricades have been removed from it, as, again, you cannot put any extra cotton candy on it. So extra attention has to be made at these objectives, as it'll make it even easier for some survivors to sneak over or finish it up and get up to three people out. A fantastic addition to the game is going to be the mini games. What this allows you to do is once you've died or escaped, you can complete nice little fun mini games that allow you to collect items that you either keep for yourself when you get revived or give to other survivors that are still in the game. These can range from literally every item or weapon even in the game, which can be a boon or bust, as you can either give them something useless like a golf ball to throw at a clown, which would do literally nothing, or you can give them a soda, which could be clutch when they're getting chased by multiple clowns, or even a key item, which can make it even easier for a survivor to escape if, let's say, they just need one more spark plug to complete a portal or whatever. This is a little frustrating for clowns, of course, as some of these items are very strong to be given away to other survivors for free. But again, when everything lines up for the survivors, at least it's very rewarding for them. There's also the bleed out mechanic, which is very good, especially for those of you who have come from DBD and hate getting slugged on the ground or what have you. If you're in a hopeless situation, or if it's even been communicated that, let's say, another survivor is powering up the resurrection machine, sometimes it's better to just let yourself die and come back. So it's very nice that they thought out that as again, it's nice to avoid any hostage situations you can in games. Unfortunately, however, there are some people who refuse to bleed out. So if there's in a situation where they have full inventory, they cannot be gifted, let's say, a knife to get themselves out of cocoons. Sometimes they will still sit in the cocoon until the full bleed out timer goes, making the game drag out unnecessarily when it'd be better if at least there's some sort of mechanic where if the last person cocoon with a full inventory, they just automatically die, as of course there's no way they're getting out of that cocoon. Another neat aspect about the game is there are meeting points that once you've reached, it marks out where all the escape items are on the map, which helps you and other survivors plan out your way of getting out of the map. And there's another item called a compass, which when picked up allows you to activate it at will and find out not only where all the escape options are, but actually if there's any key items that are marked on the map, such as gas, that will be marked on the compass for you to pick up and again route your way over to the other escapes. Now, once you've actually went past one of the escapes, it changes it from a little generic escape option icon to the mark where the actual escape is, such as, let's say, the bunker. Again, this is all stuff that helps plan out escapes. Now, a really cool option for the clowns, though, is if they manage to hook, I believe it's up to 16 cocoons to all four generators, they will trigger the clown apocalypse early, which is, again, it's basically the way the game just ending naturally after the 15 maximum duration for each match. But again, once they activate that clown apocalypse early, it automatically drops the timer down to 1 minute, and it also prevents the Terenzi brothers from coming out in the ice cream truck, which means if the survivors can't escape by one of the four options already in the game, it's game over for them. But I really don't think there's really much else to say here. I think I've covered just about all my bases here, so I'm going to go ahead and end the video here right now by saying if you guys have any comments or you're curious about the game, maybe because you haven't picked it up and you're on the fence about it, let me know how you feel, and I'll be able to answer those questions in the comments here. Of course, if you picked up the game, let me know what your experience with the game has been. I definitely love hearing those different takes on it, what have you. And as always, if you enjoyed what you saw here, consider giving a like and subscribing so you can stay up to date to these videos free of charge. And this has been No Life here. See you around the next video, because I can definitely say I'll be covering still TCM, of course. We got hands coming soon. I don't want to miss that. And if there's anything going on with this game, I'm not sure what their update cycle is going to be like. But I'll be here to cover it again if it's worth covering. Oh yeah, and one more thing. When in doubt, hide in the bush. You would be amazed how easy it is to get away from a clown from just sitting in the bush for a few seconds. Look at him. Yeah, he went from chasing the hell out of me to walking right past me. Granted, I think they did just start chasing another guy, but hey, works every time for me at least. And survivors can latch doors. No big deal though, because the clowns will break them down if they have to. Alright, that's enough goof for the route, guys. I should say clowning going around. See you in the next video.